this is Dandan at DG Recruit. As many of you may know, I am a real estate investor in addition to a recruiter. I started getting in the real estate investing game when I was 25 years old, working in Manhattan, and just starting to see my recruitment career take off. Before I launched into my first investment property, I actually started well before then with the actions I needed to undertake to be in a position to invest. What did I do in the first 2 to 3 years of my recruitment career to set me up for real estate investing success? Well, the first thing I did was I was very clear that in order to get rich off of any type of investment or any type of efforts to utilize wealth to create wealth, you need to have wealth to begin with. So the first thing I did was live very frugally. So unlike many of my colleagues who came into New York City and lived in Manhattan, I picked a very obscure location in Brooklyn, right next to the Chinatown of Brooklyn. And my rent was about 600 something when I first moved in. I think it was actually 750. Yeah, it was 750. And so it was 750 when I first moved in, and I had to live with 2 random strangers, and I had no idea anything about them. All I knew was the price was right? I was also looking at Columbia Heights. Like, the whole goal was to minimize my rental costs as much as I could. Then I also ate absolute garbage for the first year of my recruitment career because I was not willing to spend money on salads and smoothies. Like, I just was not willing because I simply did not have the budget. I still had a car, I had car loans, I had student loans, I had a number of financial responsibilities, and my base salary is only $35,000. And this was back in 2011, which isn't that long ago, and there wasn't a lot of inflation. So that was still a little bit of money back then. It wasn't a lot of money back then. $35,000 after taxes. I think it ended up being, I really can't remember now. I think it was like $1,200 or something like that, a paycheck, which isn't a lot, but I was even able to save on that low base because I just made sure I set up my system to be extremely frugal so that I could put myself in a position to continue building my recruitment career without having to worry about finances. Because the worst thing to do as a budding salesperson, as a budding professional who wants to be a successful sales professional, which is what recruitment is, I wanted to make sure that I could give myself the mental freedom and the lack of financial pressure so that I could concentrate on my job, so that I wouldn't have to every day worry about if I could pay my rent or not. So you just have to set up certain processes to make sure that you don't go over a certain budget. So every day I would never buy coffee. It was just not even a question. I would never buy coffee. It was just a point blank rule. I will not buy anything. And when I went out to party with my colleagues, because as we all know, it's a big part of being a recruiter, I wouldn't even spend a single cent on drinks. I would literally just drink water because I did not want to spend $15 on a cocktail. And then when it came to public transportation, you could not get me to take a taxi. And I live in Brooklyn. It would take an hour to get home at certain times of the day. And I will absolutely not take a taxi. So those are all things, very little things I did to set myself up financially to be able to start saving. And obviously the second step, once you start saving a certain amount of money, the second step is earning more money. So a lot of recruiters also miss this trick where it's like, hey, I've had a good year. I made $60,000. Well, that's not a lot of money. If you really want to get rich quick, you need to amplify your earning capability. You know, if you're earning 60,000, 70,000, 80,000, that's a very slow growth rate. So you're either doing something wrong or you're in the wrong recruitment firm. AKA, you don't know how to sell and you're not doing a great job at it, which is why you're not billing enough money to get more income from a commission perspective, or you're just at the wrong firm that's not teaching you all the skills you need, and also perhaps in a very bad market where the market is hard to earn money from. Maybe it's too client driven, maybe it's too congested with other recruiters. Whatever reason, if you like this industry and if you see this business model where essentially you get 25 25 to 30% per deal on direct hire, at least, of the base salary. Well, the question then is, why don't I work salaries that are 150 grand so that each fee is so much more, right? When you see the business model and you really understand it, then the question is, do you love this business enough to really grow within it? And obviously that's where we come in, where let's say you're in that situation, you're working at a firm that you can't make money and you just don't see the potential. You don't see how that's even possible. Of course, that's when you talk to recruiters that specifically work on recruitment roles. And obviously we can show you how to make money in this business and who to introduce you to make the money that you want. Right? So number 2 is you've got to start making more money, right? 6 figures ASAP. Ideally by year 2, you're pulling in the big 6 figures. The trick here, again, to go back to point number 1, is stop spending money. Just because you start making more money doesn't mean you should spend more money. This is the worst. So this leads me to number 3. Right? Which is self-discipline, and then utilizing, the benefits of your effort of putting away money and being smart, utilizing it smartly in whatever investment vehicle of your choice that you really truly do understand. Not everybody has to get into real estate, and wrongfully so. Many people don't even understand it, but frankly, at that point, they're able to qualify for the loan and they accidentally buy a home. And that is possibly the worst mistake you can make, where it's like, well, why the heck not? I can afford it. I got the down payment. Let's go. That is absolutely the easiest way to lose your money. Is just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? Just because you can go out and buy XYZ doesn't mean that that's a good idea for you. And real estate is the same. You really need to know what you're doing, why you're buying it, and how does that serve you. So that requires research, that requires studying, that requires taking time out of our busy lives. And of course, as recruiters, we have so much socializing. We're always out and partying with our friends, and you're in that boat. However, if you really want to build wealth, that's your side hustle. You don't have time to socialize the way that other people do. And that's something I had to make a very clear decision on. It was like, at a certain point in my career, I had enough clout, I had enough friends at work that I no longer had to put in the hours to party and drink and do stupid stuff. And it never worked out well, by the way. Alcohol and lots of it is never good for you, and it can get very expensive as well. So that was a choice that I made about the year 2, year 3, was to massively decrease the amount of time I was spending with my colleagues outside of work, because I really wanted to focus on real estate. I really want to focus on learning, and learning that is a new subject, and you do have to do quite a bit of studying. I was also learning a lot of stock investing, and also how to pick stocks and whatnot. So at the end of the day, just make sure that you're keeping in mind your ultimate goal every day that you're in your recruitment seat, because we have an awesome opportunity in front of us to make something of ourselves at a very young age that a lot of other careers would not be able to provide you.